Welcome to the Impact Lounge. Feel the sound. Legends in the ring making moves all around. We got the fire, the heart, the stories untold. This is our moment. Watch the magic unfold. Welcome to the Impact Lounge, where we reign. Kings and queens of the ring breaking chains. We taking wrestling to a whole new height. Under bright lights, we ignite the fight. Genesis to rebellion. The crowd still chanting.
All right, what up, jobbers? It is your boy BQ.
And a kick out.
Welcome to your Impact Lounge TNA Impact review for July 17th, 2025. This is the Go Home show, the Slammiversary. It's the man with the greatest setup in the history of podcasting. Where's your championship belts, BQ? Where's your action figures? Speaking of action figures, I put it out on Twitter. We are actually getting AJ Styles in TNA before we get the TNA action figures. So hopefully you guys who got scammed have gotten your refunds, try to get your refunds, whatever, and learned your lesson also. This action figure thing is not a thing for TNA, unfortunately. Get your money back. Anyway, we're going to get into this Go Home show of Slammiversary. I actually quite like this episode. Since I've returned from my break, I think I've maybe covered 3 shows. And then last week's I didn't watch. I explained to you guys last week, kind of a nightmare coming home from California. So I give you guys the mailbag episode instead. So I did not watch last week's. This episode was pretty damn good. I thought it was one of their better go home shows. I've always been critical of the go home shows with just filled with nonsense. The only thing that didn't fit in this episode was the hometown man versus Judas Icarus. Ooh, I called him by his actual name. That's the only thing that didn't fit on the entire episode. But it didn't like hold it back at the same time. So I actually quite enjoyed this to the point that I even watched with the volume on. So I listened to Hannafin and Raywall, and I thought it was a good episode. I think they've struggled historically with go home shows, and you know this is a positive thing. This is a great step in the right direction for Slammiversary. I thought they did a pretty good job hyping up some of the matches and adding an element to it that's unpredictable. Because I get on these shows every week and I'm telling you this is what's going to happen and this is where it's leading, and sometimes I'm wrong, but a lot of the times they just follow the same formula. It just goes the same direction. You know what I mean? And they actually have this pay-per-view where you're looking at the card, and even though there's some matches that you're pretty sure who's going to win, it's not inconceivable to say the other person might win. It's probably I think their most unpredictable card, top to bottom, that they've ever put together. So they have an opportunity to throw some curveballs at us. We will see if they do or not. I did my Slammiversary prediction show yesterday, I believe. Yesterday, day before, I don't know. But I did my prediction show. And after watching this episode, I'm kind of changing my mind on a couple of them. So we'll see, though. Let's do this, though, one time for your mind. Let's get into this episode of TNA Impact.
TNA Impact. Ooh.
All right, so this kicked off. Oops, let's not bury the lead here. Oh my God, I can't find her soundbite. Your ring announcer for this episode, for this evening, is Mackenzie Mitchell.
Ding bong, ding dong, he's Stone Cold.
And this kicked off with a match. It featured the X Division champion Moose.
Damn you, Moose.
His opponent, Salami Calorie Ham, the bread machine.
Oh, you gotta give him that huck too and spit on that thing. You get me?
He's fat.
So, this match did not. So the goof ref is in there. So, that's telling me off the bat this probably isn't going to last too terribly long. Have you ever ever paid attention to the goof ref counting 3? He doesn't even get all the way down. He just goes down to his knees and counts in a sitting position. Very odd. But anyway, because he was the referee for this match, I knew it was probably more about an angle after the match than the actual match itself. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, a heel on this television show won clean. Moose hits the spear on the bread machine, and gets the pin. Alicia didn't trip him. Nothing like that. Moose rolls him into the ring. They have a little back and forth, whatever. Moose hits him. And this is kind of a competitive squash. And after the match, Moose starts cutting a very, very good promo. Moose is a freaking professional. The crowd was trying to what chant him, and he was not having it. He did not speak in the cadence that allowed them to squeeze what chant in. He just talked right through it. That's what a lot of the old head wrestling podcasters or people who used to be in the industry had always said, like, don't speak in that cadence, and they're not going to do it. But only the real pros know how to deliver it without pausing and thinking what they had to say. This was Moose's best promo in a long time. I've kind of said that I think his system promos have kind of been missing, but this was pretty good. Sammy is still in the ring, totally blown up, and people ask me if I wrote this promo for Moose. I say that jokingly, of course. Yes, I did write it. First I had to laugh. The goof ref checks on him. He doesn't move. So then the goof ref just rolls out of the ring like, oh, okay, I guess he's not going to answer me. And then Moose asks him, what the hell are you still doing in this ring? Calls him a fat piece of garbage, a fat turd. Basically saying, look at you. What happened to you? You used to be the death machine. That's kind of what I feel I'm always saying on the podcast. That's what the fans have been saying. The dude looks like Mr. Potato Head. He came out at Unbreakable dressed like Mick Foley. He looked like Mick Foley. He looked like he ate Mick Foley. Okay? And let me throw out there, I talk about his weight and wrestlers' weight. There's nothing wrong with being overweight. Your boy BQ is no stranger to the gym. However, for my height and age, I am overweight. You know what I'm saying? So there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that for me, when you're in an industry that is cosmetic and you're supposed to be in good shape and you see wrestlers kind of like let themselves go or whatever, it just looks like they're not serious. That is at least the perception to me and to many that I speak to. So I've kind of poked fun at how he looks. I've poked fun at other wrestlers, Again, there's nothing wrong with it. Some people obviously can't help it. However, if your gimmick is not to be King Kong Bundy, like, you should go out there and be in pretty good shape. So they are bringing that to light on television. And I mean, it's kind of interesting because it's almost like they're making a storyline out of it. And then people are saying, oh, he's going to return to the Sami Callihan we all know. I mean, unless he hits Ozempic, like, he's got a lot of work. This isn't something that he's going to like transform to the old Sammy in a month. You know what I mean? So who knows where it's where that is going. He has nothing to do with the X Division Championship, the X Division title picture, nothing. You know what I mean? But they're starting a little storyline with him and Moose. So, and maybe the storyline doesn't involve Moose, but I'm actually kind of interested in it. I'm interested that they brought it to light. And he told him to untie his boots, leave him in the ring. You can go in the back. I think he might have said give the wrestlers Gatorade or something like that. But it was overall a very interesting segment that the people were into. And he starts untying his boot, then he rolls out of the ring. After this, he announces the system. So we got King of the White People, Eddie Edwards.
Ooh, I'm white.
Johnny Dango Curtis.
These are spirit fingers. And these are gold.
And Brian Myers.
What is she going to think when she comes in here? Oh, look, he's got a billion toys.
He was also accompanied by Alicia Edwards. I can't not drop Alicia's soundbite.
Hey, baby.
It's actually funny because of all people, as Sammy is exiting, Eddie Edwards stops and looks at him up and down like, you fat piece of shit. Like, this fool hasn't gained 30. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, the system comes out and they have a match. they kind of have a match, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. It is versus the Order 4. It is versus Ali.
If you vote for me, all of your wildest dreams will come true.
and the great hand jobs.
Hey, for another 60, I'll jerk you off in the parking garage.
I wrote in my notes before this match even started. What I write here. This will end in a no contest after Dark State interferes. So I was getting ready to fast forward the match because I was like, I don't really want to watch it because I know how it's going to end. The match doesn't even kick off. Then Dark State, aka Job State, they come down. This fucking fake Nexus Shield looking group. It's almost like they ripped off those two stables and put them together. It's crazy. They even have wear masks like Michael Tarver from NXT, from not NXT, but the Nexus. Did I say NXT the first time? The Nexus Shield, like rip-off group. But they come out, so there's not even a match here. And one thing that I noticed that was kind of interesting here was that the Order 4 did not come down like there was dissension. You know, Tasha Steelz came down looking like a heel. The great hand jobs came down looking like heels. They looked like they were a unit. It did not seem like there was dissension in the group. I don't know what happened on last week's episode. I got to throw that out there as well. So I don't know if they're kind of like teasing the turn, but they're going to stay together. But I think we'll get some clarification at Slammiversary because Cedric Alexander is going to be in the match with Ali. It's going to steal the show. It's going to be the match of the night. And then, you know, from there, we will maybe get an idea of what they are trying to do. But they do a beatdown, and, you know, it was fine. It was well done, whatever. But I was pretty freaking sure this was not ending in a match. I mean, or not even ending with a finish. But I thought we were going to at least get some kind of match, but we got nothing at all. The crazy thing is, they advertised this match. They advertised the System versus Order 4. On paper, that's very exciting. That's something we want to see. We want to see that match. You are promoting that we are going to see the match. And then we don't even see, or Order 4 didn't even get down to the ring. After this, we are backstage. Queen of the Jesus Feet, Gia Miller.
Jesus Christ, that's perfect. Of course you're here right now.
And she is interviewing Danny Luna.
God damn, bit like Mewtwo.
I thought Danny Luna sounded okay here. She did have one key phrase that no one is holding her back anymore. So she's going to go on this singles run. She has been impressing people lately in a lot of the tag matches with Spitfire. So there are people interested, excited to see what she can do on a singles run. I don't think she has it. She does not have the it factor. I don't see her being Knockouts champion at any point, especially with how deep the roster is starting to be. But there might be a good storyline on the horizon here for Danny Luna. Stay tuned. Her opponent, because she is wrestling after this interview, it is the undeniable Tessa Blanchard.
Oh, I don't like this. That if the Nuggets don't win this.
And she's accompanied by Victoria Crawford.
My favorite match was with Melina and Alicia Fox.
Angel Reese, let's get back!
Does she not have one of the worst theme songs in this company? Tessa Blanchard, like, this song stinks. Someone who I'm almost incapable of saying something negative about Tessa Blanchard. I love her. That freaking song is awful. What was not awful was this match. I thought this was the best televised knockouts match that they have had in a really long time. I can't compare it to anything else because there's just nothing off the top of my head that I could. You know, we're actually the knockouts division, there's a rebirth going on right now, right? Because it wasn't that long ago Jordan was just having open challenges against nobodies and people we never heard of before. So it's hard for me to say, okay, well, this TV match, I don't know. I might even go as far back as like Jordan Grace versus Deonna Purrazzo. I'd probably even go back this far. I thought this match was excellent. Tessa obviously is incapable of a bad match. She could have a good match with me. Shit, I'll wrestle Tessa Blanchard. You can book that shit. But anyway, she's incapable of a bad match. And frankly, Danny Luna's pretty good too. I think she's missing a lot of other intangibles, but she's pretty good. I really thought this was the best televised knockouts match they've had in a long time. It was a little competitive to have before a pay-per-view, to where Tessa, of course, had to lose. She loosely cheats. It's not some egregious thing, but Victoria Crawford grabs onto Daniel Luna's leg, enough. Tessa hits a magnum at the end that did not look good, but other than that, Dani Luna showed some. Man, she showed some impressive power in this match. This was good. This was like a pay-per-view quality match, in my opinion. So I very much enjoyed it. There is a post-match beatdown, because that's how we do in this company. Standing by immediately with her music is Indy Hartwell.
How long did it take you to learn English once you got here?
It was really easy, because we speak English in Australia, you fucking idiot.
She comes down and she saves Dani Luna. We get a little, they show, before they get to this, they show again the footage from the Elegance brand, jumping the inspiration at the autograph session. I thought they did a good job with that. Inspiration does a little backstage promo here.
I am iconic.
This is like an underrated promo. This is probably something where most of you are watching and you're like, okay, whatever, it's a backstage promo. This was really underrated. They did not skip a beat. They were talking back and forth. They were speaking at the same time. They look incredible. They weren't standing in front of, pink and purple lights backstage like they like to do. They were standing in a nice lit area that looked different the rest of the show. So I thought that was done very well. I thought it was shot well. I thought they delivered it well, and I give the Inspiration props for that. I don't remember them talking a whole lot in their first run, and back then the lighting was so bad. I remember them doing some backstage stuff with the influence, and they're just fucking standing in the dark, talking to each other. It was just so bad, and it's great to see the Inspiration back on TV with this improved quality that TNA programming is. 2 weeks ago when I reviewed the show, I said that they took a step back as far as the production. Filter was there a little bit. The settings were fucked up to where, the contrast was all messed up. It looked fine this episode, so I don't know why every once in a while they're just like, hey, let's go back to what we know. Let's go back to the Scott D'Amore era and give you a fucked up looking show. I don't know why they feel the need to do that every once in a while. We got a clip here, folks, where it showed Masha hitting the snowplow. Shit name, by the way, shit finisher. But she hits the snowplow, and I thought she hit one of Fatal Influence, but I guess she actually pinned JC Jane. And Masha, to me, and I for the first time I actually bet on TNA. So I got a VPN and I got on Bet Online. And if I'll put the Bet Online link in the description of this video if you guys want to bet on the show tonight. But I'm actually betting on it for the first time because Bet Online actually doesn't work in Vegas, but found the workaround, so I decided to get down. I put a lot on Masha winning, and the odds are not good. I mean, they're favorable odds, but they're not odds that pay out money very well, so you got to put some money into it if you want to make anything. I was sitting there confident that Masha is winning this match because I was thinking, tit for tat, Trick Williams won the title. Now TNA's got to win one, right? But now I'm starting to use a different part of my brain that says if Trick Williams drops the title, which I think he will, then maybe JC Jane does win so that the Knockouts title is on NXT because the TNA Championship will be back home on Impact. So now I'm worried because she pins JC Jane, and historically in wrestling, the person who gets pinned prior to the actual match ends up winning. So I'm a little worried about them. I'm a little worried for my money, number one, but I'm a little worried because I don't think JC Jane is the person to beat Masha. They book her pretty strong. I don't think she's the person to beat her, though. That said, they promote that JC Jane is coming out. Instead, we get the Elegance brand. Ash by Elegance.
Come on, Teddy. Come on, Teddy.
Heather by
He has an
Elegance.
erection.
Yeah. It's all her fault.
M by
I
Elegance.
can't get Maggie to sleep.
And the Personnel Concierge.
That's my dad. But don't worry, he's cool.
Really? He doesn't look cool.
So they come out, and folks, I have destroyed so many things that Ash by Elegance has done on screen. This was her best work in the company yet. This was her best promo. This is the type of work and type of promo and type of fire I have been begging for from her character, because it seems like everything is bad comedy with her. You know, like, let the concierge do the comedy. Let him be that, because he can do that. Ash doesn't have to feed into it so much. She can show a little more seriousness, because, I mean, I'm pretty sure she's going to be Knockouts champion one day. I think she's going to be around for a while. She seems like a mainstay in TNA. This gimmick it's starting to work. It was a little slow at first. They fired freaking Jodie, whoever that was in charge of producing her, and she's starting to come into her own into this gimmick. This is starting to work. Now that you bring in Heather, you bring in Maggie, like, this is starting to work. The promo she cut, even though she hit us with the each and every one of you people, aside from that, the promo she cut was excellent work. She did not let the what chance get her. She's getting booed out of the building cutting this promo. And then after that, she's in the middle of talking, whatever. We get man, I can't find her soundbite. We get Fatal Influence.
This is that group with George Michael.
And they come down, and this is where it fell off a cliff. And this is why I give Ash even more props for the promo and the reaction she got. JC Jane starts talking, and she is horrible on the mic. It wasn't believable. It was fake. It was scripted. It was pre-rehearsed. However you want to word it. It was not good, even a little bit. It was just, the crowd didn't even react to what she was saying. They didn't care. And you can't say, oh, they were tired, they weren't mic'd up. You can give whatever excuse you want. They were just booing Ash out of the building a minute prior to this. But JCJ comes down with Fatal Influence. They look great. Just visually, they look great. They have a star look about them. But JC Jane's talking here, and she's almost as bad as freaking what's her fuck that was here, Elena Black, whatever her Cora Jade. She's almost that bad. She had no inflection to her voice. She's no confidence, no charisma, nothing. I was very disappointed with this. They have a little stare down, and then we get the director of Waste Management's music, Masha Slamovich.
How do you like my garbage truck? This truck is in honor of Kamala and Joe Biden.
And she's, excuse me, that sounded weird. She's starting to look better. She was throwing shit at the wall. Let's see what sticks as far as her presentation. She's looking better. She comes down, and I would have fucking cut the segment here because this was already bad. Ash good, JC bad. I would have thrown an audible here, and as dead as the crowd was, cut the segment. I know they weren't going to do that. I know that's not realistic. Masha comes down, and her promo is almost as bad as JC Jane's. Rehearsed, fake, no heart behind it, no confidence. The crowd is dead. The crowd doesn't care. This was brutal. I felt horrible for everybody involved because they're talking, and they're talking forever. This was no quick talking segment. They're going on and on. Nobody cared in the arena. I felt very bad for them, and it sucks because it started off very, very good with Ash by Elegance. Remember, Ash is the number one contender. Well, JC Jane is, but it's a title versus title, so the only actual number one contender floating out there is Ash. And if it was bad comedy Ash, I'd be like, who cares, But now I'm like, is she going to get involved in this? Is she going to cost one of these girls the match? Are they building towards a three-way rather than Ash versus them one-on-one. But they even teased Ash having a bit of an well, no, JC Jane actually said we don't have an issue with the Elegance brand, but I mean they had a face-off. So this is, we've been talking, I've been talking, you guys have said it too, that the creative feels the same or whatever. These are the little improvements that they are making to where the storylines, how can I explain it? The storylines have always been so black and white. Here's the good guy, here's the bad guy. This is probably where it's going. Now we're bringing in other elements. It looks like it can go into other directions. The opening segment with Moose and Sammy Callahan is an example to where it was kind of about the X Division Championship. Moose is talking a little bit about Leon Slade or whatever, but you just throw in this Sammy part of it, and now it's like, okay, what's going to happen here? You know what I mean? So I am not as confident now that Masha is winning this thing. I don't think putting the TNA title on JC Jane is the smartest thing to do. That just means Masha's going to win it back. And that means we have to listen to JC and Masha cut promos on each other, and I'm not really here for that. So we'll see. This was, to me, the worst part of the show. I said I liked it. I enjoyed, 90% of the show. This was probably the worst part of it. Then they gave us the TNA injury report.
You have 24 hours to live.
24 hours?
Well, 22. I'm sorry I kept you waiting so long.
So they said Trey Miguel's day to day. We're going to see if he competes at Slammiversary tonight or if it's Myron Reed in his place. I guess we are going to see. They are backstage after this. Dani Luna is getting worked on. Fake worked on because she was getting like a massage, looked like. But she was getting worked on. Indy Hartwell's with her. And then out of nowhere comes Jodie Threat.
I just felt like running.
And yeah, I mean, guys, I've got on these podcasts and I have stated that I did not like Spitfire as a team. I hated their run. I am very interested in this because Jodie walks up and is checking on her, and Danny's like, "I'm good. She was here." So Indy Hartwell was standing by with her music. Why wasn't Jodie Threat standing by with her music? But this was just very. I'm very interested because, as I've said thousands of times, how they struggle to find storylines involving the knockouts that don't involve the title picture. So just by nature of that alone, I'm interested to see what's happening here. It looks like I think Dani Luna may go the heel route. They could go that direction. But it does seem like we're going to get a little Spitfire feud here. Now, historically, back in the 80s, there were a lot of careers that were built off tag teams breaking up. Shawn Michaels being the most extreme example. On a lesser note, guys like Rick Martel breaking off from Strikeforce and going on to be the Model. So back in the 80s, teams broke up, and then some really strong singles careers launched out of that. In today's wrestling, it happens pretty often. Tag teams, that's the only reason that's the only way they know how to write themselves out of tag teams is to have them break up. They do it all the time. It does no good for either of the wrestlers. No one rebrands themselves. There's no new gimmicks because in the 80s, when a tag team broke up, you often saw the heel completely reinvent himself in a new gimmick. So I'm not trying to compare Spitfire to the Rockers and Strikeforce and shit like that, okay? I'm not trying to compare them, but this, I don't know why, just my gut was telling me this has the potential to launch Dani Luna potentially into something much greater. As she is right now, she doesn't have it, but depending on how this story plays out, if Jodie Threat can be the Marty Jannetty of this thing, because Jodie does not have a lot of potential in this company as far as she's a good wrestler. And she's come a long way with the way she's been presented, but I don't see any kind of world where she's challenging for the Knockouts Championship or she's the Knockouts champion. I don't think that world, exists. But with Dani Luna, it may exist and it might come from this feud. So I'm probably like fantasy booking something that has that's not going to play out. But I'm just saying I'm I'm interested in this storyline. I just think they might be able to really launch Danny Luna's solo career if they figure this out. Say launch solo career like Beyonce's breaking off from Destiny's Child. Next match that we had here was Kid Icarus of the Northern Armory.
Well, well, well. Isn't Mr. Bullshit and Doctor I'm Full of Shit?
He's accompanied by the wizard Walt Williams. At first, the music hits, the lights are out. I said, who the fuck are these guys? Are these luchadors? I mean, it just seems like these guys have a brand new look every time they step out, which is, I mean, it's better than being like Jake something and just coming out plain, wearing nothing and doing nothing to try to improve your presentation. I mean, it's better than that. But, I mean, these are just a couple guys, like I said, that just don't really have it. But I appreciate that they are trying to find their way. Anyway, they are not with Eric Young. But he goes one-on-one with the hometown man.
Everyone in this room is now dumber.
Guys, I'm starting to come around on hometown man. Just on the mailbag episode, I was like, I don't find this gimmick funny. I don't find it interesting. I don't know what it was about this where he comes out and he's getting a reaction. He's getting a pop. Probably because I just heard Masha and JC Jane speaking to crickets a few minutes before this. Got a real reaction. Like, he was very over when he came out. The music works. It fits. It's kind of catchy. I think it's him singing. You know, the only goofy thing to me about it is where, like, Santino knows nothing about him being Cody Deiner, but he signed him to a contract. What's his fucking legal name? Like, if you're going to sign a contract, his legal name's on the document, right? You know it's Cody Deiner. Like, that's the phoniness of wrestling sometimes. It's like when WWE signed Mr. America or whatever. Vince McMahon doesn't know that he signed Hulk Hogan. Anyway, they had a match here, a little more competitive than I thought it was going to be. I just thought it was going to be very quick because I didn't know why it was on the show. I figured it was building some kind of storyline ahead. I mean, tying into something on Slammiversary. I was just like, what the hell is this? And they could throw this on the pre-show at the last minute, hometown man versus Eric Young. I don't know. But they had a match here, and Cody Deiner looked good in this match. I don't know what it is about this gimmick that he, like the freaking We the People gimmick or whatever he had going on. He was such a jobber. Like, when he wrestled, he'd just get his ass kicked. When he was the Deiners, he still kind of had this gimmick where he couldn't really show what he can do. There's something about him putting this mask on. He looks like Alan Angels when he was in AEW. But there's something about, looks like Son of Havoc. But there's something about him putting on this mask and doing the moves, and it's working, and the people are feeling it, and it's over. Like, he did a airplane spin TKO that I thought should have been the finish. I think it should be his finish. It was a pretty good move. It hit very impactfully. Probably not a word, but it hit with a lot of impact. Probably should have been the finish. It wasn't, because we can only end matches with finishers. But ultimately, he hits the sliced bread, which I've never really cared for as a move, and he gets the win on Kid Icarus. After this, Eric Young runs out.
Who the heck are you? What are you talking about? I'm Santa Claus. No, you're not. Why, of course I am.
And I don't know if this is going to tie into Slammiversary in any way, but I'm coming around on the hometown man. It's not as bad as I thought it was. I think what rubbed me the wrong way was him being the surprise partner for everything going forward. That's what I don't like. But just, I don't know, just something about it's starting to get over with the people a little bit. I said it's always been over with the audience, but the internet audience doesn't seem to like it. I think people are going to come around. If I can come around, you can come around. But just announcing him from the city, and him, like, he brought the terrible towel out there and he's doing the thing with the, I don't know, man. It's starting to work for me a little bit. We'll see if I feel that way in a month or so. Then we get a video package from Real One.
Crack is whack.
And he is teasing coming to Slammiversary. This went a little too long. Then we're backstage with Steve Macklin.
Do the ass kicking around here. Wait your turn, jarhead. Ah!
He basically issues an open challenge to anyone from any company. You know, they kind of tease AJ Styles, which any realist knew AJ Styles was not going to wrestle him for the International Championship. But now what we're ultimately getting is Real One and Josh Bishop, I think his name is, and Zilla Fatu against Jake Something, Mance Warner, and Steve Macklin. I was hoping watching this episode, I was going to have any kind of be given any kind of information on why these guys are teaming together, but they are. The only reason is we have to get as many people as possible on the show. That is it. Next, one-on-one. Everyone's been waiting for this one. Matt Cardona.
You know, it's like you don't care about this company at all.
No fucking shit, I don't care about this company. Why, this is just an ATM to me.
And he is going one-on-one with, what the hell's this guy's name? I got to give him his respect. Jake Painter.
Who?
Jake Painter. So he's been on the show before. He was, I think there was a, maybe Moose had a 2-on-1 match, a handicap match or something. I think he was one of the dudes that he wrestled. The match didn't happen. This is another thing that was advertised. Matt Cardona in action. And then Job State comes down once again. Brian Myers ultimately comes out to attempt to save Matt Cardona. But they are getting beat down. And it was funny, the initial beatdown was of Matt Cardona and Jake Painter. Like, they didn't roll Jake Painter out of the ring. They were beating both down like he's a main roster guy. It was kind of funny. And then the system, standing by with their music. They had weapons, but they had to stop and say, hey, hit our music first before we come down to save these guys. The system did come down and save them. Alicia came down with them, and they came across like baby faces. So I would imagine they're going to kind of wrestle as baby faces in this thing. So I don't have any interest in Job State, but I'm interested to see the match, to see what the dynamic is with Matt Cardona, see these guys kind of wrestle as baby faces, because as I've been saying, I think the system's time is coming to an end. So how are we branching these guys off? How are we going to break them off? It's just interesting. One of the guys in Job State looks like JDC, which is kind of funny. After this, we hear from the Hardys. Matt Hardy.
Wonderful.
Jeff Hardy.
My name is Jeff.
This also was not very good. They were fake retiring or fake teasing retirement. I didn't think it came off very genuine. I don't even think they're getting much of a crowd reaction. I was pretty bored. And then standing by with his music is Leon Slater.
Hey, here. I'm in charge.
Do you feel in charge?
And he was the best part of this segment because he came down and he's always been able to talk, but he really did a good job here firing the people up. I mean, the whole thing was a little pandery between the Hardys and Leon Slater, a little pandering to the crowd. But, other than that, he had a lot of fire in his voice. And when they're giving the promo, I'm like, oh, shit, the Hardys are winning this thing. I've already put my money on First Class. But I think the dynamic of bringing Leon Slater down and saying, oh, no, you're the Hardys, fuck that. I think that gives a little life to it so the Hardys could lose and still continue on. But I thought the whole thing was a little phony. And, but they are saying the right things. We don't want to be a shell of ourselves, which is crazy because they've kind of been a shell of themselves for a long time. So it's funny they're acknowledging it. TNA just does a better job of hiding that than AEW did. And even years ago, when they had a little run in Ring of Honor, I think it was like a match or two, they really struggled with the younger talent. They weren't even as old back then. I couldn't believe the Hardys said they've been doing this for 33 years. I can't picture myself doing anything for 33 years. That is insane. So Leon's doing his thing. And this is all kind of wrestling 101. Let's get all the tag teams down there. So we get First Class, Big Boom, AJ Francis. Boom! And Casey Navarro.
Help! He's got a boner!
And I liked when AJ Francis told, because the Hardys told Leon Slater, hey, get out of the ring, focus on your championship match. You know what I noticed this episode, by the way? They were calling the titles TNA titles. They did it more so in the Knockouts one. Ash did it. Masha did it. They weren't like throwing Knockouts World in there or whatever. And even with the X Division Championship, I think they referred to it as a TNA title. So I just found the wording a little interesting. They weren't forcing the full name of the title on us. But I did think it was funny when AJ Francis, because they're chanting "You can't wrestle," and he goes, "Hey Leon, they're chanting "You can't wrestle. Get out of the ring." Just throwing that in there was funny. But they're cutting their little promo and say, "You're not even the best brother tag team." And we get the music of the Nemeths.
I've been talking to people walking here. We've been talking about next year, and I'm sitting there saying, "I'm not gonna be here."
That is, of course, Nick Nemeth and his brother, Ryan Nemeth.
Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Ryan Nemeth said they've been in more ladder matches than everyone combined. Of course, Hannifin's like, he's never been in a ladder match, because Hannifin always seems to know everybody's background. And they're brawling, and, they just have to throw it in real quick, the Rascals.
In one word, would I use dope? Nope.
The Rascals have no chance of winning this match at Slammiversary. They just threw them in at the last minute saying, hey, the 3 teams that could potentially win, they have to cut a promo. Run out of there at the very end so people remember you're part of this. I was watching on my phone, and I had the screen minimized. I could not tell if Trey Miguel ran out or if it was Myron Reed. But it also makes sense if it was Trey Miguel and he's hurt. That also makes sense why they showed up at the very, very end. After this, it is main event time. This features the tag team match, King of the Block Party, Frankie Kazarian.
It's a block party. I'm not playing with y'all, bro.
And the TNA World Champion, Trick Williams.
How about a magic trick?
Their opponents are the former champion, Brother Love Handles, Joe Hendry. And the future TNA World Champion, Mike Santana.
That's nasty.
I fast forwarded through most of this because I really just wanted to see what happened at the end. They need to get away from this, though. This tag team. Every time they go into a pay-per-view, let's team everyone up or team them against each other. It is the same formula every single pay-per-view. Go back as far as you want, folks. Go back as far as you want and look at the go-home show and look what the main event is before the go-home show. It is a tag team match featuring, the champion and challenger, oftentimes wrestling on the same team or finding some other jabronis to wrestle against. So they had their match. At the end, Joe Hendry, who clearly was giving Mike Santana the opportunity to tag himself in, that's exactly what happened. Mike Santa Ana tags himself in, hits the spin the block. I always got to do that in the Hannifin voice. And pins Frankie Kazarian while staring at Joe Hendry. Everyone knew Frankie Kazarian was taking the pin here. I mean, if you might be a mark if you thought anyone else who was taking a pin. Like, Frankie was clearly taking it. Any realist would tell you that. So they're teasing the dissension between Joe Hendry and Mike Santana. Trick Williams comes in. They do the let's hold the championship up, just like the Knockouts did earlier. And they went off the air. They didn't brawl off the air, which is nice. They announced for the live episode that we are getting Mike Santana versus Joe Hendry. Will this be for the title? Will it be non-title? Will it not be for the title? Will Trick Williams still be the champion? I don't know. We'll see. But this is what I was worried about. I don't want a feud between Joe Hendry and Mike Santana, even if you think they're your 2 most popular guys. This is not Stone Cold and The Rock. Joe Hendry will get so exposed if he has to have promo battles with Mike Santana. He's already been exposed in this whole thing. When you got Mike can talk, Trick can talk, and I'm not saying Joe Hendry can talk, but because they didn't do anything up to this point to put any fire under his belly and underneath his love handles, he is now on the fly learning how to be a little more serious rather than during his whole title run helping him build that character for when he needed it. Everything's been goofy ever since he won the title. Now he's with a couple guys. Ooh, I can't be goofy in this. I can be goofy with Frankie Kazarian. I can be goofy with Nick Nemeth. I can't be goofy with Trick Williams. I can't be goofy with Mike Santana. But now here we are. And I think he's been exposed. And I think he's going to be exposed if they continue to have him working against Mike Santana. I don't think that's going to end very well. But again, folks, this was overall pretty good. I was quite impressed with this episode. I really think it was their best go home. I think there's a potential for them to throw some curveballs at us here and there. And as I keep saying, this is the least predictable card they've had in a while. So looking forward to Slammiversary tonight. I don't know if I'm going to watch it as it airs. I probably will, though, so that I can review it as soon as possible. And that will do it for me this week, folks. I'll be back to talk Slammiversary. I'm out. Peace. I said peace.